My horrible Star Wars intro for my new sharpening system, Wicked Edge, which I'm extremely happy with. I got this, I don't know, probably about, it's like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Still learning. There's definitely a pretty steep learning curve with this system, but as you may know, if you have used a Wicked Edge or own a Wicked Edge, there is truly nothing like it in terms of you know, being quite possibly the best sharpener on the market. I know some of you Edge Pro guys will disagree, but the Edge Pro, I know, I've never used it personally, but I know that it is an awesome system. And whenever it came down to me buying a new sharpening system coming from freehand and other clamping systems like the Lansky, just the fact that I was kind of used to the clamping and kind of got acclimated with you know, what was going on with the blade being fixed and the stones moving as opposed to freehand, the stone being fixed and the blade moving. But anyway, kind of getting off topic, the purpose of this video is just to kind of go over my personal setup, and yeah, so let's jump into it. I bought the base model. I simply could not afford the Pro Pack 2, so I definitely plan on upgrading and getting the ball joint arms. I know that if you really want to push this system to the max and get the best possible results, the upgraded arm kit is definitely the way to go. So let's start with the arms. These universal joints, I don't know if I ended up getting one of the older models. I know the newer models, Clay Allison, the guys at Wicked Edge, fixed a lot of the play. But whenever I received mine, there was a whole lot of movement. And a Smoke Eater 908 recommended just pushing the pins out and putting some small washers. Well, I tried that. I pushed the pins out, and then I went to a little small mom and pop hardware store, Breeden Company here in Austin, Texas. And if you're not familiar with Breeden Company, it is the best hardware store in Austin for sure. And the washers that I bought were way too thick. They wouldn't fit in between the rods and these couplings, so or these collars. So what I ended up having to do was I actually drilled and tapped these. I did the collars, the rods, and I actually bought these elevator bolts. I don't know if we can kind of zoom in a little bit and you can kind of see. Let's see. Whoop, that's kind of blurry. I won't do that again. So yeah, these are elevator bolts. So yeah. But even still, there was still a little bit of play. So as far as like in terms of coming up with a solution, kind of created bushings using what do you call that stuff? Like overhead projector, like that plastic film, basically. I basically just cut it and tucked it inside the inner diameter in a couple of these spots, and I'm really happy. I mean, I really have, like, if you can listen, there's like, I'm really pulling, there's like zero movement. In terms of the keeping it smoother whenever the stones come back down and sit on these arm joints, went to auto parts store and bought these little 1/4-inch inner diameter grommets that definitely feels good when you're coming back down. It doesn't feel so just a lot smoother. Kind of this rubber absorbs the shock. So, and generally, to protect these arm joints, I get latex gloves, like surgical gloves. Cut the finger off, pull it down, and pull it over here to protect these joints, from keep the debris from getting all in here. I use white lithium grease. That's all I had. I don't really know anything about lubricants. I know that in this application a drier lubricant would be ideal, because you do not want to, again, you want to protect these joints and keep the shavings from, you know, your blade from falling into these joints, and a lot of wet lubricants will attract the debris. And if that's the case, then there's a possibility that you could wear these joints out a lot quicker. So that's what I did. I'm pretty happy with that. These 1032 thumb screws were really loose in the collars, so I just got a crap load of Teflon. I mean, like, you could seriously sit there and just like wiggle them around. So I got a crap load of Teflon, covered the threads, and I'm happy. I mean, nice and tight. Let's see what else. This base is not a base that I bought from Wicked Edge. My dad is actually remodeling his laundry room, him and his wife, and they had a bunch of scrap granite left over. So I hit him up and I was like, yo, let me get some of that. Gave it to my buddy Garrett, who is an engineer, works for Hyatt, and I had him drill it for me. He actually went through like 3 drill bits trying to get through this, so it is super hard. I think I'll probably end up getting the paper stone base. I like the way that looks. I don't know, just granite's a little too traditional, if you will, in my opinion. But that flat black paper stone looks really cool. As far as like helping to prevent like tweaking or torquing these joints, I know a lot of people will get like a you know, a towel and roll it up and put it right here. I went to Home Depot and I bought these like gear ties, basically 2 of them, and I think they're probably about, I don't know, 12 inches long, maybe a little more, 14 inches. And I just held them out, put them side by side, and then began twisting them really tight. And then I, let's see if we can see it here. I went underneath the base of the sharpener, between the base of the sharpener and my actual granite slab right here, and just ran it through and bent it in a way that basically will kind of catch the stones as I'm putting this back down, or whenever I'm dropping the rods. So yeah, there's that. Oh, another issue that I kind of bothered me a little bit. Well, 2 things with the clamp. The threading on the actual vise is like super rough. I mean, I end up having to get some steel wool and clean it out, and I also put some white lithium grease. Not only that, but I took my the actual vise off, put the set screws back in, and I'm looking, and I don't think that everything is completely squared away with this vise. I got my digital angle cube, and I took some readings, and it's anywhere from a ½ degree off to a whole degree off. So I think I might have to, and it's just in like random, like this back corner right here on this side, and then this corner right here. So when you take the actual vise off and you set it down on a flat surface, it kind of rocks, you know, to either side. So I think I'm gonna have to get like a really fine file maybe, and just kind of try to remove some material to get that squared away. Again, I mean, this system is all about precision, so and if you bought this system, you understand that, and I think probably your mindset, you know, that mentality kind of carries on and permeates a lot of aspects of your life, I'm sure. Attention to detail, you know. and you want to get the best results possible, right, when you're sharpening your knives. But anyway, let's put this aside. I'll go over here. This is a Plano case. I don't know what exactly this is. I know Modifieds made a video about his storage options as far as storing his stones. But this seems to work out for me. So yeah, I have my obviously 100, 200 grits. Let's see here, as well as my 400, 600s. Always keeping the same grit stones, you know, up against each other. Don't let a coarser grit stone sit there and rub against a stone that's a little bit finer. 800, 1000, little bottle of alcohol to clean off my blade. Let's see, this little guy right here, when I'm getting real serious and want to, if I can open it up. It's a little magnifying glass. I think it magnifies up to, I think, like 10 times maybe. 1500, 2000 grit sandpaper, because I have not yet bought the 1200, 1600 grit ceramics. Strops, 5 micron, 3.5 micron, 1 and 1.5 or 0.5 micron. Actually, last night I modified these. I know right now you have the option to buy some accessories, accessory stones from Wicked Edge. You can either, you know, put whatever material on the handles of the platens. You know, if you want to make new strops out of like balsa wood or kangaroo leather or whatever, you have the option of buying these blank handles with either glass or aluminum. So, and I do encourage going to buying things from Wicked Edge. You know, I want Clay Allison and these guys to be around for a long time, giving us the, you know, the best sharpening experience ever. But whenever I was first week, I guess, stropping, I nicked my strops really bad, cut huge chunks out of them, which I'm sure is pretty common for beginners. So I was like, well, what the heck? Went to Hobby Lobby, bought just some tan vegetable leather, and I had some 3/4 inch aluminum flat rods that I cut down, and you can see, yeah, I put in there, and then I put the piece of leather on top of that. I believe the dimensions are roughly like 138 millimeters in length, and then right at 2 millimeters wide. So super easy. Obviously loading them back up with the diamond compounds. Always store your strops with the same grits together. Very, very important that you do not cross-contaminate your strops. Very, very important. So yeah. So there's that. I keep them in these little larger Ziploc bags. Just fold them up. Jack the hair tie for my girlfriend. And done deal. Digital angle gauge. If you've been paying attention when you're sharpening, you know that this side of the vise is fixed. It doesn't move. So, like, gotta think of it this way. When your stones are touching, the angle that it's, and I think it's right, like Clay said that it's an inch above the clamp is where this little graduated rod, where the angles are set. So sitting right there with the clamp together, in that line that runs straight up perpendicular, you know, just go back to like high school, you know, geometry. This is a right triangle, and there's your angle that's being set. But here's the thing, since this side is fixed and this side moves, your center line essentially shifts to the right because the vise opens to the right. So now no longer when your vise is closed, there's your center line. If you have, let's say, you know, I don't know, a blade that's 1/4 of an inch thick, well, you mount that in there, and that center line is now moved over, like what, to half the width of the spine, I guess that would be. So, and maybe 1/8 of an inch. So you may have 20 degrees here and 20 degrees here, according to what it says on the rod, but that's not the case. So this guy right here, digital angle gauge. This is actually from Harbor Freight. It's like 24 bucks. The downside of this is it only has these super strong rare earth magnets on the bottom, so you can only set it like this, and then you get some reading. You obviously subtract it from 90 degrees, but a lot of math is involved in that, so I actually bought some magnets that I'm going to just get some double-sided tape and put them right here, so that way I don't have to sit there and subtract like 76.45 minus 90. You know, I don't want to do any of that. So yeah, 24 bucks Harbor Freight. They also have these magnets. Where are they? I think these were like $1.99. So put some tape so I don't you know, scratch up my blade if I'm trying to figure out if it's canted to one side or not. So yeah, I'm just gonna glue them right there, and I mean that it'll do the trick. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Do a couple series of other videos, just different things that I've learned being a beginner, and just an overall discussion. So thanks for watching. See you later.